Hello and welcome to Canopy TV. Canopy TV is brought to you by Canopy Cancer Care, New Zealand's leading private cancer clinic for adult patients. Canopy's vision is to offer patients world-class cancer care delivered locally here in New Zealand. In this episode of Canopy TV, we explore some of the issues patients face moving forward with their lives once their treatment finishes. We have a discussion with psychologist Lucy Barnes and oncologist Dr. Richard Sullivan about female sexuality and intimacy during treatment. And we also look at ideas for how to tell your children that you have cancer and involving them in your cancer journey. Many people find finishing cancer treatment one of the more stressful times in their cancer journey, and this is something not commonly talked about. There's the expectation that life should be just as it was before the diagnosis. And in this next video, we explore some of the issues that patients face as they move on from their treatment.
And the end of treatment can catch people by surprise because they don't necessarily think that they're going to feel that way. They often feel like they should be excited, their family and friends and workmates are excited and they want to celebrate with them that treatment's finished. But often it's actually a really stressful time when they can feel quite vulnerable and scared and unsure and a bit lost of where they're going.
At the end of treatment, support often drops off a little bit, so you do lose the support from the medical team and the nursing team that you were regularly seeing week by week, and family and friends can also move on faster than you can, and they maybe expect you to be feeling better than you are.
I mean, often patients' families and friends put pressure on them in a way because they expect them to bounce back to the way they should be, have good energy, be back to the old person they were before they started treatment. And it's not often how it is for people. They're not the same person they were before the cancer experience, and they're often left with side effects that take time to recover from, and it's a new normal, what you go through, rather than possibly how you were before you started this whole process.
I think my main concern about finishing treatment was my family and close friends, because I think they worried about everything more than I did.
Recurrence is one of the biggest fears that patients experience when they've finished treatment. It can be their own fear of recurrence, but it can also be your family and your friends worrying for you that you might have a recurrence as well, which can obviously put a lot of stress and anxiety on you and as a family unit. I think if it becomes to the point where you're thinking about recurrence on a daily basis or it's overwhelming your thoughts, then you need to seek help, whether that's going to your GP initially or whether that's even calling your nurse specialist, and we can refer you to one of our psychologists who can give you strategies and support and help you manage those feelings.
There are lots of really good resources in the community, so there's counselling and psychologists, there are really good therapy groups and exercise programs, and all of these programs have been shown to help people recover psychologically.
It does change you. I think it changes a lot of people. Just live a little bit in the moment rather than worrying too far ahead. That works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody. It really does depend. It is quite a personal thing. But for me, it was just to get on with things.
For many people, cancer treatment can change their appearance, how they feel about themselves, and their desire for intimacy. Lucy Barnes and Dr. Richard Sullivan share some of their ideas on how to help you and your partner talk about sex and intimacy during your cancer treatment.
I often start by talking about the fact that it's really common to lose your desire for intimacy while you're having cancer treatment. So chemotherapy, for example, you can have a change in body function. There's of course the change in appearance, hair loss, and an increase in fatigue and nausea, which makes a lot of women feel like they don't want to be intimate during treatment. I would normally start again by talking to the woman about what to expect in terms of bodily changes, and that it's very normal to have a change in a need for desire or intimacy during treatment. I would often advise taking time with that, so not pressuring themselves to start having more intimacy in the relationship, but taking time and talking with your partner about that.
The whole relationship during cancer and the fears of, chemotherapy, what does that mean, what does a sexual relation look like, is really complicated in cancer. Different areas have different challenges. So for a woman who's got breast cancer and is going through, major physical body changes, there's a lot of psychology that's important in that space, and part of it's about that just ongoing comfort of who she is and what that means to her. And I think it's critical that you talk about the sexual relationships and having sex in that space, because it is about who we are and about how we feel about ourselves. That is a different conversation for somebody who's obviously unwell and got a whole lot of symptoms, but inevitably when sex is important in a relationship, it's really important that people know that's okay, and it's life is for living, and it's about enjoying what's important to you.
The other thing that can happen is women say that they do lose their sense of control over their body, even though they haven't. That's a feeling that they get, and that they've lost some of the privacy around their body. So that all adds to not really wanting to become intimate. I again encourage people to be really open and honest in relationships and keep talking about those issues. So it can be a problem for partners as well, where they don't know how to ask for intimacy and can feel like they're pressuring or hurting their partner. So again, talking about that can be a way to navigate through it.
I think as a profession we don't talk about sex during cancer enough, and treatment and what that means for people, and so I think it's a good challenge to all of us really to be more open about that. The other side of that conversation is also fertility. Many people we look after may still be of childbearing age, and so it's important to also raise that issue, because these are the things that are real to people. In the oncology sphere, we'll spend a lot of time talking about drugs, treatments, statistics, outcomes. Actually, what most people want to know is, what does this mean for me, and what does life look like at home, and how am I going to live, and can I cook dinner, and can I drive a car, and can I have sex with my partner? And so it's embracing that whole world.
Telling your children that you have cancer and working out the best way to involve them in your cancer journey can be very challenging as a parent. In this video, Trish shares her experience in telling her 16-year-old son of her cancer diagnosis. And Suze tells us her personal story about how she involved her young children in her cancer journey.
My son was 16 years old. I was concerned that he would be quietly worrying about things and not verbalising that.
When I talk to parents about involving their children in their cancer journey, I do explain to them that it is challenging as a parent talking to children about something that's distressing, and our natural instincts when we talk to our children is to protect them. What I do say though is it's important to tell them something, because telling them nothing can be more frightening, because what children do is they make up their own story, and that story that they make up in their own minds can be very scary.
I only told them a little bit later on in the piece when I knew the outcome, and I could say, this is what's going to happen, but I'm not giving them too much information, letting them know the things that I think the key thing is the things that will affect them. They don't need to know that I'm doing chemotherapy while they're at school. They just need to know I'll be there to pick them up.
The main concerns that people often have when talking to their kids about cancer is people often come from two spheres. One is that they want to do what's right for their families. They want to be there for their kids, and they want to be there for their partner. And often you get the complete opposite when you talk to family. They're worried about, their loved one, their mother, their father, and, how they might feel.
Kids often know if there's changes going on in the household, such as a sick parent or a parent who's going through treatment or slightly more distressed. And if they don't have all the information, they tend to fill in the gaps.
Children of different ages will deal with information differently, so what you would tell a 4-year-old is very different to what you might tell a 14-year-old.
So that day, the day I'd had my hair shaved off because it was all falling out, and I had my wig fitted, and I came home with my wig on, and I picked my daughter up from school and I took her down for a haircut. And then we came home, we talked about it, and I said to her, I've got no hair underneath now, and I just let her choose when was the right time for her to see me without hair. And surprisingly, it went really well. She was quite mature about it for a 5-year-old. She gradually sort of lifted the wig back and then was like, oh, okay, this looks a bit different, but it's okay.
Think about the time and the place that you're going to pass this information on to your children. So it needs to be somewhere where they feel safe, somewhere that's uninterrupted, And often the home environment is the best place to have these discussions with them. I'd also say that it may be not the right thing to talk to if you've got a number of children, all of them at once. It might be that if you're dealing with the smaller children, you deal with them separately and then have a more one-to-one with the older children, and allow plenty of time to answer questions and reassure them.
I waited until all the tests were done, until we had a diagnosis and had an idea of the way forward. And then I sat him down and just calmly told him the story. I think it's important to be honest, and that comes to honesty when they ask questions as well, depending on the journey. It is going to get hard, but I think just for me, I thought just deal with that as it comes and just be open.
Thank you for watching this episode of Canopy TV. Each of these topics are also available to view individually on the Canopy Cancer Care website or on YouTube. And keep an eye out for our next Canopy TV episode, where we will explore some more of the common issues that patients may face in their cancer journey, as well as take a look at some of the amazing developments in cancer treatments and patient care.